Welcome. One of the things I hear most often from yoga students is that pigeon pose causes pain in their knees. And I think it's important to remember that our yoga practice, our yoga asana specifically, should never be painful. So if you're experiencing pain in your yoga practice, it's usually a sign that you need to make an adjustment in your alignment, or that you need to strengthen something that's imbalanced in your body. So I'm going to show you two things that you can do during pigeon pose, or two variations of pigeon that you can take to alleviate that knee pain. So before we get into it, I want to just show you the most common alignment error that causes knee pain in pigeon pose. And there's other variations, but this is what I see the most often. So if you look at your ankle in alignment with your knee and look at the space on the inner and outer ankle, if you're sickling your foot, meaning that you're shortening the inner side of your ankle and lengthening the outer side of the ankle, likely that's going to cause pain on the inner knee. So I'll say that again. If you're shortening the inner ankle and lengthening the outer ankle, you'll feel pain, maybe not right away, but over time, you'll feel pain on the inner knee. Okay, so once we get into our pigeon pose, I'm going to have you point your toe, keeping both sides of the ankle equally aligned, or maybe even a slight lengthening of the inner ankle. And then with that pointed foot, you'll flex just your toes. So you keep the ankle pointed and the toes flexed. It's kind of like a Barbie foot. Okay, so go ahead and come to your downward facing dog. Starting with the right foot, bring your right knee to your right wrist. And then before you lower the back knee, create that shape in your ankle. So you're pointing at the ankle and flexing the toes, okay? Then lower your back knee down, and from here, tent your fingers so you get kind of buoyant in the upper body, or elevated in the upper body. Your hips should be pretty high off the floor at this point, and you should notice that there's a slight squeezing inward of your inner thighs. So that's the second point I want to make about alignment in this variation of pigeon. If you squeeze your inner thighs together, then you're integrating the head of your femur into the socket of the hip, right? So our joints want to be integrated rather than just kind of like hanging out on the muscles and the ligaments and the fascia. Think about integrating the joints. Okay, so squeeze your inner thighs together, and then from there you can lengthen your abdomen over your front leg and lower down. Okay, so this is point number one in alignment for pigeon. Some of our bodies just don't want to make that 90-degree shape in your knee, and I'm one of those people. I've had knee surgery, all sorts of knee issues over my lifetime, and my body just doesn't want to make that shape while keeping the outer ankle engaged, or the outer part of the shin bone engaged. Okay, the other thing that you can do for modifying your pigeon is actually very similar to the shape I'm making now. You have to think about the intent of the pose, right? The intent of half pigeon is to stretch the outer hip, or to open the hip. And you don't have to look exactly like perfect half pigeon pose on Yoga Journal in order to do that, okay? So if you make a 90-degree angle with your ankle and your knee sitting on your right hip, the back leg is sort of just hanging out, right? It's like this Z shape in the back, or this V shape. From there, you twist your abdomen forward. Keep the abdomen long. Think about hugging that femur back into the socket, so squeezing the right thigh in, and then folding forward. And it's pretty likely that you're gonna feel a big opening in the right hip here. All right, so those are 2 variations of pigeon and a couple different things that you can think about as you're working with pigeon in your own practice. So you go ahead and do this on the right side, and if you'd like, you can switch to the left side. I hope this helps. Namaste.